On to Bert Monro, CEO at Cora Gold, which is a West African-focused gold company. As ever, if you have any questions or comments, use the chat box on the right.
Hi everyone, and thanks for watching. My name is Bert Monro. I'm the CEO of Cora Gold. Cora Gold is a West African-focused gold developer listed on the AIM market in London. Cora has got a large set of assets across West Africa. We've got over 1,100 square kilometers of ground in highly prospective areas. We've got a very positive scoping study completed on the project, over 100% IRR on the project at a $1,500 gold price on our main project, Sanankoro, that is. We've got a great share register of very supportive shareholders and a very strong cash position at the moment, over $5.5 million of cash in the bank. And we've also got, which is fairly unique, a conditional financing agreement, which fully finances a project based on our scoping study economics. So in a brief nutshell, that's Cora, AIM listed, lots of gold projects in West Africa. Our main project, Sanankoro, is currently being drilled extremely aggressively at the moment, looking to both a resource update and a DFS in the not too distant future. Jumping into our portfolio, on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see a group of permits we've got in the Kenieba Window. This is arguably the most prolific gold belt certainly in West Africa, if not the whole of Africa at the moment. So we've got a nice group of permits in amongst some very significant gold mines. So that's an exciting group of exploration permits for us at an earlier stage. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see our Yanfolila belt permits. Our main asset, Sanankoro, is there in the middle of the screen. Which we'll talk a lot more about later in this presentation. Outside of that, we've also got a nice permit to the north, Karen West, and we've got a nice sort of ring of permits around the Yanfolila gold mine in the south. Tekla, for example, is only 6-7 kilometers from the Yanfolila processing plant, so it's got great neurology to an existing operating mine. So in our view, one of the most significant land packages in West Africa, well over 1,000 square kilometers of ground. So in terms of landholders in West Africa, we're certainly one of the largest. So gives us an exciting level of opportunity and great exploration discovery potential. In terms of a team, obviously, to deliver, look, I've been working in West Africa for probably a dozen years now, previously with Hummingbird Resources. Got lots of very experienced colleagues alongside me, which is great, offering great support. Just mentioning a couple, Norm Bailey, he was with Redback as they went through well over 20 million ounces of discovery, both in Ghana and Mauritania in West Africa. We managed to get him out of Centamin, FTSE 250 African gold mining company. Norm's been on the ground now for 8 months in Mali. He's doing a fantastic job delivering this drill program, which has been hugely successful. So Norm's been a great hire we brought in the second half of last year, and he's really driving our strategy and driving our drilling we're currently doing. So Norm's been a great addition to the team in the last year. Look, the likes of Siaka, he knows West Africa extremely well, born and bred Malian, but educated in Russia, very experienced geologist. And then obviously we've still got the likes of Russell Bradford. Russell's an advisor to the company, helping oversee aspects of our feasibility study. He's been involved in the construction of numerous gold mines in Africa, including the Asanko gold mine in the not too distant past. So he's got great experience. So great to have him on the team. Now I'm just going to jump into Sanankoro. This is obviously a really exciting time for us at the moment at Sanankoro. Currently got 4 rigs turning at site. But before we jump into the specifics on that, just to step back a bit, Sanankoro there is a Sanankoro permit, but also our Sanankoro gold project is really 5 contiguous permits of nearly 400 square kilometers. So a big land holding. One of the significant advantages at Sanankoro we have is you've got a very deep level of oxidization. So you've got a free digging material down to depths of 100 meters in areas up to 120, 130 meters depths of oxidization, which is a real plus for the project. A few years ago now, SRK delivered a 1 to 2 million ounce exploration target on the project, limited to depths of 100 meters. So in the context of that, we've drilled mineralization down to depths of 160, 170 meters to date. So this target, it's not a resource, it's a target that ultimately they believe we can work towards with more drilling. On the back of that target, the company delivered a maiden resource and scoping study in January of last year. I think what it showed is the potential to produce a highly profitable gold from Sanankoro. over 100% IRR at a $1,500 gold price, over $24 million a year of free cash flow. So for us, that was a great starting point. It showed that Sanankoro has great economic potential, but for us, it was really just the tip of the iceberg. We had a huge amount of undrilled areas on the permit. The deposits were all open in all directions. So for us, it was a base case to show that we were onto the right thing, but something for us to build on. I think significantly for a company at our stage, we also have a funding term sheet with Linehead. Linehead is a family office based out of Cape Town, linked with our largest shareholder. On the basis of the scoping study, economics and capex, that term sheet does fully fund the project on completion of a feasibility study. So leaves us in a very strong position, combined with our existing cash of over $5.5 million. Moving into our current work program and what we're currently doing. So in 2021, we're targeting drilling 35,000 meters. That's due to be completed in the coming weeks. To put that in context, that's twice as many meters as we drilled in the previous 2 years combined. So a really significant drill program. We've been seeing some really fantastic results coming through. On the map, you can see in front of you, the red area is essentially the surface expression of our historical resources we had on the project. And then the gold area is really where we're targeting to add additional resources, but we're also looking to infill both existing and hopefully new resources to move them into measured and indicated as we look towards the feasibility study. In terms of our drill results we've had, as I mentioned, like, they've been fantastic. We've had a combination of good widths, good grades in shallow oxide material, which is really what we're looking to target. And I think you need to see, all of those in context. So good widths is excellent from a mining perspective. It helps reduce dilution when you get to mining the ore body. Obviously, good grades is always good. Obviously, you're getting more gold out per ton processed. And obviously, in shallow oxide material, obviously should help in terms of total material needing to be moved and strip ratio. So for us, the combination of the widths of mineralization, the grade of mineralization, and the depth that mineralization is found in is all extremely exciting. Historically, our resources are all pit constrained, the historical resources from a year and a half ago, and the average pit depth is only 65 meters. So that's extremely shallow, and that's due to a limited amount of drilling. So this program is obviously infilling those resources, obviously to move them from inferred into measured and indicated, but it's also looking to drill underneath those pit shells, as well as up and down dip from those pit shells. So we're hoping to obviously expand significantly the mineralized footprint, and obviously, as I said, targeting oxides, but also we're drilling some holes into the fresh rock, into the sulfides as well. It's always good to see a little bit more detail about what's down there as well. But at the moment, we're extremely pleased with the results, and things are coming along very well. Dipping into Selin. Selin's historically been our highest grade deposit. Here's both a plan map of the drilling we've been doing and the outline of the historical resources, and also some cross sections. I think the key things to pull out here, the blue surface expression is the outline of our 2019 pit. As I mentioned, it's relatively shallow, so we've been putting holes in, both infill holes there, but also holes underneath that pit. We've also been looking to expand it. There were gaps within that pit shell, as you can see, where it narrows and sort of pinches out. So we're looking to fill in those gaps, which frankly, we just, with the limited number of historical meters we hadn't drilled yet. So looking to infill that, step out, drill in the gaps, and drill underneath the pit shells as well. Again, in the cross section, I know I've mentioned already, but what you can see there is nice widths of mineralization, good grades coming through, all have very positive implications for future resource updates, but also, I guess more importantly, for the mining side of things as well. Here we are, zones A and C. Here's a plan map of zone A. That's a very, very short deposit in terms of strike length. We'll be looking to step out in the phase 2 of the drilling and try and extend the strike length of that deposit. We just released last week a very exciting hole, which was underneath the southern tip of the pit shell, 19 meters at 31.5 grams a ton. I mean, that is it's a world-class hole. It's a bonanza hole. On top of that, look, we've had a lot of very, very good holes there. 21 meters at 5.75 grams a ton is an excellent hole. 20 meters at 2 grams a ton is another excellent hole. So really pleased with those results which have come out of Zone A. Zone A was historically lower grade than Selin, but obviously we're now seeing with this drilling, which is obviously a much larger volume of drilling, we're seeing some better widths and some better grades coming through. So has some potentially exciting implications as we move towards the resource in the coming months. Zone C historically has had no resources, so it had a couple of discovery holes on it, Zone C, and it was really just a target. So we've obviously been drilling some additional holes there, and the rigs will probably, before the end of the program, drill a few more holes there. So for me, Zone C offers great upside for the company. We hadn't historically had any resources there, as I said. So, getting hits like 30 meters at 1.6 grams, 17 meters at 2.5 grams. Those are 14 meters at 8.5 grams. I mean, those are good hits, and hopefully could lead to maiden resources at Zone C. So again, another exciting development which has come out of this drill program. Here again, you can just see some cross sections. On the right hand side of the page, you can see in the dark blue line, you can see where the pit shell was from the resource and scoping study, and you can see where those intercepts are coming in underneath the pit shell. So the expectation is you'd obviously be dragging that pit shell down deeper and obviously adding ounces into your open pittable deposits. So for me, that's obviously exciting and why we're doing this, right? We're not just here to make good intercepts. We're here to deliver bigger resources and deliver that into a feasibility study afterwards. In terms of a timeline, pretty aggressive timeline. A lot of it's already kicked off. We started our ESIA, our environmental and social impact assessment, in the first half of last year, so that's coming along very well, due to be completed before the end of the year. We're obviously drilling extremely aggressively, as I've been talking about. I'm looking to hit those meters off in the coming weeks, which will be great. Obviously, a bit of a lag on the assays after you finish drilling, but obviously targeting bringing out an updated resources, give or take, but by the end of September, which is exciting. As I mentioned then, on the back of hopefully a nice resource update, we'll be shifting our focus into feasibility study work before permitting and financing, and then hopefully into construction. So a really exciting 12 months ahead for us, and then hopefully on and on from there, with plenty of news flow to come as we deliver on that timeline. Let's see how much time I've got left. Great, and on to the next part of Cora, which I think is, I guess, an exciting differential. If all the drilling and other things aren't an exciting differential, I think is the financing side of it. Look, first and foremost, we're in an extremely strong position cash-wise. We've got over $5.5 million of cash in the bank, which fully funds us through all of this drilling program, all of our feasibility study, as well as additional working capital requirements into next year comfortably. So we're in a very strong position from a cash perspective. We're obviously fortunate to have some very strong shareholders who have been very supportive of the company and have had great experience of being investors in and delivering very successful mining companies in the past. Lion or Mantra, two examples you can see there on the screen. A consortium of our larger shareholders through Lionhead have delivered us this $21 million term sheet. That term sheet was delivered after the completion of our scoping study last year. On the outcomes of our scoping study and the capex in our scoping study, that term sheet would fully fund our project. So that's extremely exciting to have that level of support in the project at that stage on completion of DFS. So obviously that's our focus, and our target is to drill out the deposit, deliver a bigger resource, then move the project into the feasibility study and deliver that. And obviously having that supportive shareholder base and obviously with probably more than half an eye on financing the project into construction at the end of it is an extremely good place for Cora to be, and we're extremely fortunate to have that support. Moving on to the regional permits. So we've got, as I mentioned at the start, an exciting group of regional permits. As you can see here, we've got a group of permits around the Yanfolila gold mine. Tekladugu in particular is extremely close to the processing plant. It's under 8 kilometers from the processing plant at Yanfolila. We've had some good hits there in shallow oxide material. 56 meters at 2 grams a ton's a nice hole. 17 at 6 meters, another nice hole. So we've had some good hits there. To be honest, the results coming out of Sanankoro have been so good. Our focus has been very much at Sanankoro this year. So it will be great to do more work at these permits. And I think obviously it's exciting to have permits very close to operating mines. It gives, you don't necessarily need to make as sizable a discovery as you might otherwise if you're in a standalone situation. So for us, it offers nice potential and really good neurology to an existing operating mine. The other group of permits is in what's known as the Kenieba Window. This is on the border with Mali and Senegal. So Medina Full Base sits just over the border in Senegal, and then the Satafara permits and Kakadian, they sit just on the other side and on the Mali side. As you can see there are a large number of very significant and well-known gold mines in this shear zone. So those permits sit in a highly prospective area. Historically, we've had some positive exploration results from those area. Again, look very underexplored, very under-drilled, huge upside potential, but from an early stage exploration perspective. So for us, this is good blue sky potential for Cora. The ability to find a sort of second significant project on those permits areas is definitely there. So one for the future. We're sort of ticking over lower level exploration there, whilst our focus is very much at Sanankoro at the moment. But obviously, hopefully in time, we'll be able to get back and do some more aggressive exploration there. I think certainly the prospectivity is extremely strong. On the corporate side of stuff, look, I've touched on aspects of this before. Obviously our cash position is very strong at the moment, which is great, backed by some very supportive shareholders. Look, we feel over the coming months we will have a lot of good news flow, and obviously we're very well financed to deliver that news flow. So hopefully Cora's going through a really significant period in our evolution. We're going from an early stage explorer with a scoping study showing potential, and hopefully we're looking to really step up and deliver on that potential and show a really exciting and larger project at Sanankoro over the coming months. Just looking at some of our peer comparisons, a number of these guys are pre-resource, so I guess seeing where they're valued and seeing what we're looking to deliver is always exciting for me, and obviously great to get out and talk to more people and try and introduce the story to more shareholders. Looking at the case study, I think that's interesting. It's not a name many of you might be familiar with, Robex Resources. It's a Canadian listed company, but I think it's significant for a number of factors. They are essentially operating an oxide gold mining operation in Mali. It's an open pit oxide mining operation, as we would expect ours to be. Their grade is well under a gram a ton. Obviously, our current grade's around 1.5 grams a ton, and they're delivering around 50,000 ounce a year production at under $1,000 AISC. I mean, their market cap's over 300 million Canadian dollars a few years after being in production. So for me, seeing how they've delivered and how they're operating a low cost, low sustaining capital mining operation in open pit oxide material with sub 1 gram a ton grade is really exciting for me when I look at Cora and some of the comparables around the oxide material we have, widths of mineralization and grade. So for me, that's a nice case study to look to in terms of where Cora is looking to be in a few years from now in terms of delivery on the project. A bit on Mali and Senegal. Look, Mali and Senegal have been massive gold producing regions over the last few years. Mali's third biggest gold producing country in Africa. They've had over 30 years of commercial gold mining operations. You've got a large number of large international companies operating mines in these countries. So for me, it's great to be in a country which has good mining codes you can operate within, good infrastructure in terms of roads. For our project, Sanankoro, you're about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours drive south of Bamako. Most of it's on a tarmac road, so good infrastructure. But I think most importantly, you've got a really skilled workforce. I'm really proud, literally, we have essentially a fully Malian workforce. We've got two non-Malian guys really at site. Everyone else are Malian nationals. So you've got a really good experienced workforce built up around obviously a great mining sector in the country. So for us, that offers a huge amount of benefits, particularly in this COVID world we now live in. Sadly, we fortunately didn't have a large number of people on fly in, fly out. So our work programs were largely unaffected. Obviously, COVID's probably affected everyone in one way or another, sadly. But for us, fortunately for our business, we've been able to crack on and deliver on the ground. And in terms of our technical skill set and our ability to operate at the level we want to, we haven't had to jeopardize anything, because we were already set up with a local workforce. We haven't had to either ask expats to do significantly extended rotations or have essentially shortfall in key staff, because our key staff are all in country. They're predominantly all Malayan guys and girls. So that's great from our perspective. So just to overview on Cora, we're at a really exciting stage in Cora's evolution. We're fully funded to drill out a really significant drill program, be delivering significant numbers of drill results still to come over the coming months, leading towards a resource update and then moving into a feasibility study. It's a really exciting time for us. We're building on what was a strong scoping study showing a high IRR gold project at a $1,500 gold price. Significant land package in highly prospective areas in West Africa. So it's a really exciting period for Cora, and looking forward to delivering on the work programs and delivering the results as we go forward over the coming months. So thank you all very much for listening, and look forward to getting as many questions as possible and answering as many as I can. Thank you very much.
How's that, Bert?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Your company's been one of the better performers of the last few weeks, which is always nice to see. Got a few questions at the moment from viewers and listeners. The drill program is still in progress, so how far away do you think you are from getting the next set of results back from the lab, and when might the final ones be in your hands?
Sure. So at the start of the program, we were having about a 6-week lag from drilling the holes to getting the assays back. I think as we've moved towards the wet season in West Africa, we've seen a quickening up of that lag time. So at the moment, it's about a 3-week to 4-week lag from getting assays back from the lab. But ultimately, we're obviously drilling constantly 24 hours a day, and we send assays to the lab on a weekly basis. So, give or take every 1 to 2 weeks going forward, we should probably be having results to put out to the market.
When do you think you will be testing the deeper sulfides?
Yeah, it's a good question. At the start of this program, and obviously as I hopefully said in my presentation, the program was both infill drilling existing resources, but also stepping out and looking to expand our resource base and drilling outside of our pit shells. The initial phase 1 of the drilling program was targeting shallower ore. We've just been drilling deeper holes currently at Selin. We've just finished that program. So obviously, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks or so, we should start getting those results back from Selin. But we've finished a deeper drill program at Selin, which is currently our highest grade deposit in resources, and obviously are looking to put the rigs back to zones A and B at the moment to follow up some of the really good high grade results there on a deeper basis.
With the results that you got so far, are you still comfortable with the 1 to 2 million ounce gold target resources?
Just to put that in perspective, and just to clarify that question, in 2018, Cora released what's known as an exploration target on Sanankoro. This was completed by SRK, a well-known company. Basically, that was 1 to 2 million ounces of gold estimate over time, limited to a depth of up to 100 meters, which is roughly speaking where the base of oxidation gets to. So what I guess the question is asking is, do we think we'll get to 1 to 2 million ounces over time? And absolutely, I think Cora will over time. Obviously, the focus of this drill campaign is all about getting to a level of M&I ounces to be able to obviously complete our DFS later in the year. So we aren't specifically targeting total quantum of ounces. We're targeting both a resource growth, but also infill drilling those ounces to get them from inferred into measured and indicated. So yes, in time, I think the prospectivity of Sanankoro is very good. There's gold everywhere, and we've got a huge number of targets we've only just drilled a little bit of, or maybe not even drilled at all. So I think over time, growing those ounces is definitely going to happen. But obviously, in this drill program, we have this dual focus of upgrading our ounces to measured and indicated as well as growing them.
The jurisdiction of Mali is a factor as far as Cora Gold is concerned. You've been there a few times of late as well. You've come back in one piece, so I presume that you're quite comfortable with the situation there.
Yeah, it's another good question. I mean, look, I've been to Mali 3 times in the last 7 months, and look, I've been going to Mali fairly regularly since back in 2014, 2015 time. For me, when I'm traveling about in Bamako or going to and from site, I certainly haven't felt a difference in, I guess, the political or security side of things. Obviously, it's something you've always got to be watchful of and wary of. I think an interesting fact someone always says to me is in 30 years of commercial gold production in Mali, they haven't lost a day's production for any political or civil unrest. Fundamentally, it's the largest industry in the country. The mines are all in the south of the country, really, south and west of the country. And I guess some of the troubles and issues you might read about in Mali really are in the north. They're well over 1,200 kilometers away in most instances. So the mines and the exploration assets in the south and the west have largely been untouched by the issues in Mali. But certainly from my personal perspective and from a company perspective, we haven't seen a significant change in how we're dealing with sort of security in country from an operating perspective.
You've got other licenses away from Sanankoro. Are you planning to any work away, any activities away from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always doing work on the regional permits as well. We did at the turn of the year, last year into this year, some small drill programs in the Yanfolila belt of permits, and we've just done some regional work in West Mali as well. So just to talk about that in a bit more detail, we've got basically outside of the Sanankoro group of 5 permits, we've got 2 other groups of permits. We've got a group down in what's known as the Yanfolila belt. They sort of donut around the Yanfolila gold mine, for want of a better expression. We've got drill discoveries on those. At Tekla-Dugu, for example, you might have seen in the presentation, we've had some nice, interesting hits from near surface in oxides. One massive advantage of those permits is obviously you're within very easy trucking distance from an operating gold mine. Tekla-Dugu is 6-7 kilometers from the Yanfolila mine. So any discovery or any resource there would obviously potentially become economic quicker because of its proximity to an operating mine. The group of permits we have in West Mali, Senegal, are in probably the most prospective gold belt in Africa in the last 20 or 30 years. It's called the Kenieba Window. It's right down the border with Mali and Senegal. So we've got another group of, a nice group of permits in that area. You've got some really well-known mines around there, Sadiola, Fekola, and others. So I think the postcode for those permits is excellent, but they're at an earlier stage. You've got some drill discoveries, but they're pre-resource. So our focus and time and most of our energy has obviously been on Sanankoro of late, for obvious reasons with some of the results we've been getting. But look, we still have regional exploration teams in the bush doing field work on those permits and pushing them forward, hopefully.
Finally, a question of my own, I suppose. You said that you've got potentially a world-class asset. Obviously, it's early days yet. Market cap around 30 million at the moment. Is it just a waiting game now, really, for those who following your company and looking for things to get to move on?
Well, I think over the next 6 to 9 months, we've got a really exciting period of news flow from a sort of markets perspective. We've got obviously the conclusion of this drilling program with obviously the results lagging we've been talking about. So through the rest of July into August and potentially into early September, you're going to have a steady flow of drill results. Obviously, you never know what the drill bit's going to deliver. It's been delivering really well for us over the last month or two. So fingers crossed that continues. And ultimately, the purpose of this drilling is fundamentally to bring out a new updated resource. So I think really the exciting and I think the material change for Cora will be that updated resource. If we can significantly change from our existing resources to a new resource in a positive way, I think that will be a meaningful period for Cora. And then obviously switching our focus into the feasibility study on the back of that. We've already got lots of aspects of the feasibility study going on in the background, from environmental and social to geotechnical work and other things. But I think really you're seeing a pretty significant transformation from a business which under 2 years ago was a pre-resource exploration company through to a company within 9 months of now having hopefully an updated resource, reserves and a feasibility study. So for me, you're seeing quite a quantum shift in who Cora was to what it's hoping to be. Obviously, there's a lot still to come from the drill bit. We've probably got over 50% of our assays to come back from this drill program with obviously planned meters still happening right now as well. So in terms of delivering into that, obviously we've still got a lot to come, which I'm really excited about, and hopefully we can deliver on it. But yeah, I think hopefully everyone who's investing is in for the long run. Certainly I am, and I think it'll be over the coming years. We've got a lot of exciting milestones ahead. Don't know if that's answered your question, Zach, but hopefully it has.
I think that's fully answered that question and maybe a couple of other ones as well. So that's fantastic. Bert Monro, CEO at Cora Gold, thank you very much indeed.
Brilliant. Thanks, Zach.